Hello indie game fans, I love surprises every once in a while, so here's a look at some fun titles that you can play right now, courtesy of some enjoyable events last week, although that would not be my marketing strategy if I were an indie developer. Still, we have a great selection of games that do cover my favourite genres, including Metroidvania, roguelite, and farming sims, but I do have a surprise or two up my sleeve as well. Let's begin with a new The Distant Light, a long in development sci-fi Metroidvania that kind of just dropped out of nowhere, and I would have missed it were it not for the email from Steam, which does show why wishlisting games are important. As you can see, it does have interesting looking 3D visuals, which is not exactly my favourite, but is something different, with a simple enough plot of you repairing your ship, finding your co-pilot, and to get home. Based on the teaser of the map that I have seen, there does appear to be quite a large world to explore, although it is currently in early access, but is generally feature complete, but lacks polish and difficulty balancing. That kind of shows with the small number of Steam reviews, and weirdly enough, this developer has not self-promoted on Twitter, still asking people to wishlist the game there, so it's a little bit of a strange release, but a project worth keeping an eye on.
You've come highly recommended as someone who can handle delicate situations. Well, this is an extra delicate situation.
There was the boomer shooter focused Realms Deep presentation last week as well, which you might have missed, where one of the titles of interest from there is Kur, a retro FPS that does look very 90s. Something has gone horribly wrong and the robots on the Mars colony have begun to wear human flesh and turn on the humans, so it is up to you to save the day. Interestingly, there is a melee kick mechanic which is used to boot enemies, kick through walls, and even in platforming weirdly enough, so it does bring something new to the table. It's in early access with primarily the first 5 levels being done, but one look at the game and you should be able to tell if it's for you, and for more like this, watch my video linked in the top right. This video is brought to you by Big Farm Story, a wonderful looking farming sim that does hit all the genre tropes. Take over your grandfather's old farm and escape the hustle and bustle of city life as you settle into your new life as a farmer. As expected, we have farming, fishing, mining, animal husbandry and more, where there are villagers to befriend and even player housing customization, so nothing that you have not seen before. However, it is a gorgeous looking game with some really cute animals, so if you're in the mood for one of these and don't feel like replaying something that you've played before, do give this a go. It was a coincidence that I just covered Boyfriend Dungeon in my most hyped roguelite video, link in the top right, and not just a few days later, the surprise launch during the Nintendo Indie Direct. Crossing a dating sim with an action roguelite is a neat spin, which makes it one to check out, and if you love this genre like me, smack that like button to show your support.
Whoa! Well, hello you two. Name's Sunder.
Isaac Brooks. Pleased to make your acquaintance.
Careful, don't tickle my hilt. Hey.
Hey.
Well, hello.
Hi!
Yo.
Good day.
Another quick hit with the 1.0 launch of Atomic Society, the post-apocalyptic city builder that has been in early access for about 3 years. I remember covering this way back when, so it's nice to see this finally releasing, making it one for fans of the genre. Our next farming title of interest is Farmer's Life, a first-person simulator set in the middle of East European nowhere, which does lean into stereotypes where you play as a bachelor farmer who just loves his vodka. Is one of those strange simulator games that have a tendency of blowing up in popularity, where there are the usual activities like farming, fishing, raising animals and cooking, but does also have hunting, crafting, repairing equipment and of course drunken shenanigans. It does look like some modded version of Skyrim without all the fantasy parts, where the humour does look irreverent and absurd. Another awesome retro first-person shooter that released is Dread Templar, which, as you can clearly see, is just packed to the gills with fast-paced action, embodying the 90s shooter to a T. Play as the titular character, delving into hell seeking revenge, where the absolute arsenal of weapons at your disposal includes katanas, infernal guns and more, which will make you the scariest thing in hell. My goodness, I love how this looks, but do note that it's in early access with about 40% of the content. Of course, Garden Story gets a nice spot on the list, being another title that I just so happened to cover in my most hyped upcoming action-adventure games video, and this surprise launch during the Indie Direct as well. It's an adorable Zelda-style action-adventure game crossed with a farming sim, looking oh so cute as you protect the island against the rot. It was one of my most anticipated titles, so I'm happy that we can finally play. Another pleasant surprise is the launch of Axiom Verge 2, the sequel to one of the most beloved Metroidvanias, which makes it of interest, where the developers did do a very bold thing in drastically changing things up from the first game. It's set in the same world, although whether it's in the same time period or not will be for you to find out, where one of the most interesting features is that it does have completely skippable boss fights, again adding something different to the genre.
환영합니다, 손님. 이곳은 도서관. 전 도서관의 관장이자 사서 엔젤라입니다. 이곳에서
Surprise! I bet you didn't see this one coming since Library of Ruina did release out of early access and could be a dark horse contender for Game of the Year based on the reception thus far. It comes to us from a Korean developer who also made the management sim Lobotomy Corporation, but this game is supposed to be set in the same world and has an interesting premise. Play as a librarian who has to give a warm reception to any guest that enters, but defeating them in battle turns them into a book, growing the collection ever larger with the objective of finding that one singular perfect book. Yes, it's as insane as it sounds, and it's a little difficult to parse from the description, but people do seem to love this, which makes it of interest, taking the #1 spot. For more RPG titles, watch these videos and I will see you after the jump.
부디 당신의 책을 찾으실 수 있기를.